Hey everybody, welcome back to Monday Marriage Moment. We are Jason and Renee. We've been married for a heck of a long time, 32 years. We're not marriage counselors or marriage experts, which really makes me wonder why you're watching a marriage video by people who really aren't experts, but we do very much love and support and want you to have a good marriage. Marriage is an exciting, awesome, fulfilling, purpose-filled thing if you do it the way God spells it out. And so that's what we do on these videos. We try to honor marriage, which is what Ephesians 5 says. And we got asked a few weeks ago, several weeks ago, what are some things, some mottos, some thoughts, some foundational truths that you have found in your marriage, if maybe as you've picked them up along the way or if you've always applied them. But what are just some thoughts, some mottos, some foundational things we can base our marriage on? So we've been answering that. Last week we started with the most important one, and that is that your marriage is the most important thing in your life, the most important possession. And today we've got three that we're going to look at that we have definitely found to be true, although one of them we never get to do together, but it's an important thing. Mm-hmm. So some things that we have found that have helped us and others along the way is the first one is to what?
You want to eliminate the escape hatch.
Eliminate the escape hatch. What does that mean?
I think that means that you have to decide together that divorce really is not an option.
Divorce is never an option. That sounds wrong in our culture that just says, well, if things don't work out, you can always get a divorce. If things don't make you happy, you can try another marriage. Why would you eliminate divorce as an option? Why is that an important thing?
Well, I think if you didn't have that as an option, if you just decided that was not an option, I think it changes the way that you fight for the marriage, or you get through maybe some difficult seasons in the marriage. Mm-hmm. You just realize, okay, this is not a very fun time. I'm not very happy right now. So I want to figure out what I can do to change things so that we can both be happy. And you would make lots of decisions differently, I think, if you didn't have the option of just getting out.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. That when in the back of your mind you're thinking, well, there's always divorce, then you don't approach every problem and every crisis and every situation with 100% of you. Yeah. And your marriage won't work without 100% of you. And so if you've always got in the back of your mind, well, if this doesn't work out, I can always get a divorce, then you're never ever going to give your marriage really a full shot, a real shot at making it, at being happy, at being what it could be. So when you eliminate just the word divorce from your vocabulary as a married couple, it sets you up for success for your next crisis, because you're going to have a crisis. You're always going to have arguments, you're always going to have differences, and you're always going to have a crisis in your life at some point. And it sets you up for success when there's not an escape hatch, when you know you're going down with the ship. Whatever happens to you happens to me, and we're in this together no matter what. No escape hatch. That has helped us face a lot of difficult things. We've seen a lot of couples that we know and love overcome some horrendously difficult, painful things because they refuse to let it break them up. They refuse to let it lead them to divorce. They were not going to choose that as an option. They were going to choose to figure it out, forgive, move on, and have a better marriage. And it works. It really does work.
I think it makes me think about that when I know that this is how you feel, that this is not an option, it kind of gives me comfort. Like, I know you're not going to leave, so we can say what we need to say and we can get through some hard things knowing that we're here, we're stuck with each other, and we're not going anywhere.
Right.
It kind of gives you just some sense of stability and
That's a good word.
Just peace.
Stability. Mm-hmm. So there's two thoughts that I think we need to kind of conclude this eliminate the escape hatch thing. One is you have to say that. You can't just assume that the other person knows that. That needs to be something you talk about. That you think about it, and then you talk about it, and then you make a commitment to each other. Look, I know what we said at our marriage vows, but we never said divorce is not an option. So let's say it now. Divorce is not an option. We're just going to get through it. So I would encourage you to not just think it and not just to have it kind of be an unsaid thing, but to say it out loud. Give it the strength of giving it a voice, giving word to that commitment. We will work everything out because there is no escape hatch. And then the second thing I think it's really important that you have written down is that when you are in an abusive relationship, I think there needs to be a bigger, broader conversation about divorce. If you are in an abusive relationship, emotionally, physically, I think you need to get some perspective by getting out for a while. I'm not saying get a divorce. I am saying get away from somebody who abuses you until you can figure that out together. You do not have to stay in an abusive marriage.
No.
But you do have to figure it out. And I don't think your first option should be divorce, but I do think you need to get away from whoever is abusing you until you figure it out.
Yeah.
So just kind of a little caveat we need to throw in there to make sure everybody's on the same page, or just I think it's important to, there are a lot of abusive marriages. And I don't think that's at all what God had designed.
Yeah. And let's just remember, since we're talking about this part, that in a Christian marriage, when you get married, the Bible says that you become one.
Right.
So when you have divorce as one of your options, I think it's really important for Christian people to understand when you decide to get a divorce, it's tearing both of you apart. When you have something that is one thing and you're going to separate it, I don't think people really understand how much pain is involved in tearing that down. And so that's why God said not to do that.
Right. And you mentioned earlier that, the whole thought of, well, if this doesn't work out, I'll just go find a different marriage. And if that doesn't work out, I'll just find a different one, thinking that you haven't just found the right person yet. If you could get in the right situation,
Right.
then you'd have a good marriage. But the problem with that is that you're going to be in all of those marriages.
Right.
And you contribute to the breaking up of whatever.
Yeah.
So wherever you go, you got to get yourself fixed.
Yeah.
And it's easier, it really is easier to just fix the marriage you're in
Right.
than to break it apart and then jump in something else, because you're still there.
Yeah.
Enough about that?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. This next thing we want to talk about that we have definitely found to be true is serve together as a couple. And then study after study has shown that couples that serve together and worship together are almost like there's a 98, 99% guarantee they will have a healthy, happy marriage. So couples that worship together and serve together. Now, we don't hardly ever get to worship together because I'm always up on a stage and you're either changing diapers or pushing buttons for YouTube.
Yeah.
But the concept is still very, very true. I think ours is, people in ministry, that's an exception. But serving together, finding something you can do together to serve other people. What does that look like? What do you think in there?
Well, I mean, it's going to be different for every couple to figure out where you can serve, what you can do, what God has gifted you to or shaped you to do together as a couple. So just finding that, and it may not be something you do for the rest of your life. It may be in different seasons, and it will look different. But I think the whole concept is when you serve together and worship together, you find a purpose that's greater than yourselves. And that's really cool in a marriage, to find that it's not just about us and only about our little family. It's about other people and God's purpose. And I think God really blesses a marriage when we decide to do that, to work together and help someone else.
And you wrote down the word perspective. Serving other people always gives you a better perspective on life, on yourself, on your relationships. And a better perspective always leads you to better health and doing things better. It gives you just a different way to look at the world.
Yeah.
So maybe you can't serve together every week. I do know couples that, that's a priority. We're going to serve together. We're going to do the same thing every week. Then maybe that's not possible for you.
Right.
But I bet you could find something that you could do once a month or twice a year or something where the two of you could do something together to help other people. I think the most recent one we did was the church work day, not the church work day, but the church has left the building day. When we met our home group out in Hope and helped a young lady with her home, we got to serve together there. That was the most recent one. So serving together and worshiping together, proven to be something that creates a healthy, happy marriage. So if you're not worshiping together with your spouse, serving together with your spouse, that, worshiping together is pretty simple. Just find a church and go to one. And sit together and worship together.
And make it a priority.
Don't decide on Saturday or Sunday morning if you're going. Decide on Saturday night we're going.
Yeah.
Important part of your marriage if you're a Jesus follower is to worship together. Nothing made me happier, they're probably watching, nothing made me happier Sunday morning when I was scrambling to get our slides for the sermon fixed because I made a mistake and I needed Chasey, my daughter-in-law, to fix them. And it was early in the morning, so I texted my son and I said, "Hey, is Chasey awake? I need some help with the slides." And he said, "Yeah, but we're on our way to church. Can we help you when we're done?" I thought, you just go do what you're going to do. That's awesome. Worship and serving together is key.
Yeah, and for us, since we don't get to sit and worship when you're preaching, we're part of a home group. And we give that priority. It's important to us, and it's been important to us for many years. And we've been through some really hard seasons of our marriage and made it through because we had that group of people
for sure
around us. So that's kind of like our worship part together.
The third one, I like this last one.
Don't forget to have fun.
Have some dang fun, because the world is a bad, mean, nasty place, and you can get sour and negative and bitter, and you can just get in a rut. Get up, go to work, come home, eat dinner, go to bed. Do it all over again the next day, and then soon you just find yourself doing that for a year, and then 10 years, and you get 20 years into your marriage, you go, what are we doing?
And I think as we get older, that gets much more easy to do. Get in a rut.
For sure.
And don't do anything different. And I think that's where couples, as we get older, we start feeling like, well, this is really not fun.
Right.
But it's not anybody's fault. I think we need to remember that it's important for us to have fun together, to do little surprise things for each other, or just to spend time doing some things that we enjoy together. It's important.
Don't you think marriage should be fun? I think we forget that. I think we maybe don't even think about that. But if you have married, this person that you're committed to, that's your best friend, that is your partner in life, that should be fun.
Yeah.
You should laugh. You should find something that makes you have fun together.
And I think that's what got you together in the first place.
Probably
I know that's true for us.
Probably so.
We enjoyed having fun together, and that's what brought us together. We can't let that go the longer we're married.
Yeah. And the trick is, I guess the trap is busyness.
Yes.
Busyness is usually the opponent to fun. So you have to schedule it sometimes. You have to figure it out.
Yeah. And I think it's important to just realize, there are going to be some seasons in our marriage. It's not real fun.
Right.
But it's going to change. If we think about the seasons of the year, you just realize it's not that great right now.
Not always going to be like this.
It's going to change.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, those are three that we have definitely found to be true in our life, and maybe in yours as well. Some things to think about. We are going to come back the next 2 weeks with two biggies. We're going to talk about money and some models we've learned about money, and we're going to talk about sex and things we've learned about sex. So I hope you'll join us for Monday Marriage Moment. Thanks for being here today. It would really, really help us if you would like and subscribe. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. It really does help us. About half the people that watch all of our videos at church are not subscribed, and we need to get those numbers up. It really does help us. Thanks for taking the time to watch this. Hope your marriage is growing, and hope your marriage is fun.
Bye.